to both women together. When I first came to the show, remember I said to you, there's not a situation that I haven't experienced. You remember I said that to you ages ago. Now, I was in a relationship. I was young. I was 16. And I wouldn't say I got put into a relationship, a very abusive relationship. And I had a child through Grape. I was 17. I was on the pill. So 17, I couldn't say I had loads of money because I was still living at home. And as far as I'm concerned, I had my child. At 17 years old, no money, and I worked and I kept my child. And when everybody keeps on talking about Grape and abuse, yes, Pearl, I did report it. Right, I had it down, injunctions and everything. I still got my child. Everybody was against it because in those days I brought shame on the family. But nobody knew why I had my child. And to this day, I've still got one child because I was only able to have one child. And because I don't believe in abortion, and I was a foster carer and I fostered and looked after 10 children as a single parent. And I don't care how poor you are, I don't care what situation you're in, unless your life is in danger, I still don't believe in abortion.
Can I say something
And
to you,
I was
Auntie?
on the pill.
There's a thing. There's certain people. It's just like a luck of the draw. There's people that are extremely blessed. That the situation, and they're actually blessed with a mother that will take care of you from whatever situation, make you be a wholesome human being, and show you all the love. On the flip side, there are people that then go on to abuse their children because they don't know any better. There are people that go to neglect their children because they're not in a supportive relationship or because they can't handle it. If you are real with your
Did you hear what I said? I said I was a foster carer. I was a foster carer and I fostered 10 children. Those children you're talking about, and they had better lives for it.
Because you're a good person, they got lucky to have you.
And I only fostered children primary school age. So I had children that had been abused physically and sexually at that age. So nobody can't give me the excuse. I mean, that's your opinion. I'm giving you my experience. So as far as I'm concerned, if the care system that allows these women to have the children, that allows these women to have abortions, they also allow these children to have, that allow these women to have the children and hand them over to responsible people that will look after and nurture and care for those children rather than murder them.
Yeah.
Because people murder their children too often. And then those who don't get murdered, I look after. I look after, I raise, I nurture, and I look after them. And I'm sure there's African children, Indian children, white children out there that I've fostered that have been to university, being models and having good, stable lives because of me. So I'd rather, even at my age now, I would rather look after somebody else's child. I've looked after children that have been sexually abused at 2 and 3 years old. I have had them. And I'd rather have them knowing that I looked after them than they got murdered. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not these children, it's society. And if the people are messed up, people are out there having sexual lessons and in school. They don't teach them parenting lessons, skills like cooking skills, managing money. And that's what the people need. Because there's no poverty. I'm going to be the one to say there's no poverty in England. England, you get paid to have children. It's the parents and the people that have the money that are mismanaging it. So rather than go out there and say, oh, this is a poor person, look at what they're doing. Manage their money. Because I guarantee you, those children who come from those households, look, the parents are smoking. They can afford to smoke. They can afford smart screen TV. They can afford jewelry. The children have got all the latest phones and tablets and everything. But yet they're going to say there's poverty because they have no food. They have no clothes. It's not to do with the government. It's to do with them managing their money. So as far as I'm concerned, no child deserves to be killed unless the mother's going to die.
May I say something, Auntie? I appreciate what you're saying. It's a very touchy topic because obviously it's sensitive. I believe that children, to me, are one of the purest things in the world. And if it gets to a stage where actually you have a choice, either terminate this life right here, right now, the energy is still in the world, the energy still exists, but terminate it now instead of playing with chance of letting a child go into the system and become an extremely wounded human being, I'd rather do the other. Because you'll go to a better place. The same way I believe in euthanasia is the same way I believe in abortion.
Oh gosh.
You see, that's different
Can I-
because that's different
It's
because
not that
I
different.
don't believe in any form of murder.
Damn.
So
Can
that's
I-
why we're always going to differ. That's why we're always going to agree because
Anyway, and
Zuby finish. Yeah,
I answered your
Zuby.
question, right? So
No,
you
no,
know,
no. I
so-
wanted to hear the rest of what you had to say, Zuby. I didn't hear your opinion. Yeah, finish your opinion.
Yeah, well, like we wouldn't work, right? So that's the answer to the question. Very clearly, that's a
Yeah.
complete moral
That's why I
misalignment.
said maybe to you.
It's
I already knew it.
it's a complete moral misalignment, right? Like
course.
everything you just said there, that's
Yeah.
freaking horrifying to me.
Zuby, can I
Yeah.
ask?
Right.
And I'm not disagreeing
So-
with you, Zuby. Can
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
ask
Of
why
course you
you
can.
don't
Support killing people?
Yeah, no. Well, I used to be a
Like-
Crip, so I'm with you. But can I support why you don't? Can I? I just want to know. I don't get to talk to people that have always varying different opinions all the time. Have to because we live in echo chambers.
Of course.
So I'm very interested, and not that I disagree. I'm very interested in why you don't believe in abortion outside of the killing people, because we kill people with tons of other things.
Sure.
But what is the thing about abortion?
Very simple. I think it is wrong to intentionally terminate an innocent human life.
yeah.
Period.
That's it. That's
You see, if I
Period.
if I
It
did
doesn't- it doesn't matter
I
how
think it's a
old-
crime to corrupt an innocent
Why?
human
It
life.
doesn't
Can
matter
I
how
just
old.
say, if I'd had an abortion, I would never been able to have another child again, and I would have been childless, and I was on the pill.
But
So I would have
mommy-
never had a child again.
And
And
we're-
you know what? When I got pregnant, I actually told I had an old aunt, which was a like auntie, and I went to her and I said to her, two people I told first, my stepdad and that aunt, and I went to her and I said, explained to her, I said I'm pregnant, and she sat me down, and she said, and this is in the old days, and she said, Jennifer, she said, I've been seeing this married man for years. And you know, like when you get them women back in the day that was their woman, and she said, and I got pregnant. She goes, and he said to me, it's either me or the child. And this man was everything to her world, took her out, they went places. And she said, I decided to choose my child. And she said to me, when I was having the child, there were complications. And she said, I'll never be able to have another child. And she's only got one son. She goes to me, have your child. And exactly what happened to her happened to me. And I got the one child.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I can sympathize when I speak for.
I don't want
reason.
sympathy.
I too was in a very complicated relationship. I'll put it as that. And I was in that same situation, and I just determined, you know why? Because I said, listen, I would rather take that risk than to do that for my child, because this person is definitely not going to be a good father to my child. I already vetted the situation. And if it gets to a point where I can't have any children, I'll do an alternative. I will bless other souls and give my love and my energy to somebody that is not even my child, regardless of whatever happens, whether I can have children or not. I'll still bless people. I'll still give love. I will still be able to be a mother, even if biologically that was not meant to be my destiny. That's it. You can always find alternatives to things, but one thing that I believe that we should do is ensure that whatever energy we put into or whatever children we're raising, we're going to put them in a situation where they can be better human beings. Otherwise, society is going to whatever. That's why situations now are what they are. In England, it's very easy, like, for people to have children when they're teenagers. Look at how everybody is acting now. It's very easy
The
because
majority of abortions are not from teenagers.
No,
it's actually from women.
no. And what I'm saying is, in the UK, I think the UK is actually the country in Europe that has the highest rate of teenage pregnancy. And you can see actually how that's affecting society. There needs to be a certain way of controlling this type of I would say, unhealed, traumatized kind of DNA to keep passing on. If you're not ready to have a child and you can recognize that, you have a choice to either make the situations worse for you and affect an innocent child, or take the chance now and make it better. And if it means you don't have kids again, save somebody else's child, go foster, go adopt. There's too many people that are needing your love.
Why don't you give it up for adoption?
Because giving it up for adoption, you're putting your child in a situation where actually you can fall on either side of statistics. Either you're going to be with an angel person, or you're going to be with the devil that's going to physically abuse you, sexually abuse you, and put you into the system.
Why does your mind always go to like the worst possible
It
scenario?
goes on to both.
Like no, but I'm saying like
Extreme.
I could think of many situations where adoption worked out really well.
Me too.
And-
Like my mom got pregnant when she was 17, and she could have thought, my life was over, and she gave that kid up for adoption. He just got married. He has a kid now. You grew up with a
Well,
completely different family.
Well,
go
it's
both
good.
ways.
Yeah, and fortunately for you, see the good. Unfortunately, on my side, where actually because I even from my demographic where I come from, what I see and what is actually a lot of what I feel like is the masses. Most of the people that I know that are in those situations come from very hard stories and backgrounds, and when they speak to me, I can see how damaged they are and how much pain they still feel now because not everybody's even equipped to learn how to heal themselves. So it's either we're going to create this.
But they're alive.
But they're alive, but they're still suffering, and this is the thing.
They're
like,
alive.
for example, I'll give you an example. One of my sisters, she had a friend. Her parents abused her. Her stepdad sexually abused her. She was on drugs. She was 16, and actually, she had an accident, and she died. And the friends were all very upset. And they were all really, really sad, and they cried and everything. But amongst them, they said, "You know what? Actually, I feel like she's in a better place because this world was not treating her right. Her situation was making her more depressed. Some people are living by suffering. They're not living to live."
I think
Can
this
I
is-
ask
this is
just
dark.
quickly?
Buddy.
Are you religious?
I'm spiritual.
You're spiritual. I think that's a big part of it. I think what's happening now is I don't know, Zubi, if you're
No, we're
religious.
both
Auntie.
religious. That's
Okay,
why,
so
yeah.
this
I'm,
is
I'm
a-
religious,
but
but,
I'm not-
my argument's not coming.
Right, but I'm not
explicitly
saying
from a
that it
religious
is,
perspective,
Zubi. I'm
yeah.
not saying because I'm spiritual. I don't know what the fuck I am, but I'm not saying that it is.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, I think a big part of it is a lot of times, like I don't believe in abortion, but I do not also think that I have the right to tell a woman what to do with her body. So what I think, not that
But-
you guys are this, but I think a big part of it is that you. A lot of times, I have aunts and people who are very religious. Life is suffering to them. That's what is one of the things. And I think what you're arguing, no offense to you or anybody, I think is very different than what she's saying. I think it's very two different points. I agree with Zubi. I agree with Auntie for the most part, both of you guys. And I also agree with you, like I just said. But I think what you're getting at is from your personal experience in life and what you've been through and how you came out of that experience. Versus Auntie and Zubi and Pearl are coming from a different. Pearl's talking about she had a relative who was a sibling who was raised in a wonderful world because they were adopted. I think you're coming from your personal experiences of what you've seen,
There's
and
two
not
sides.
the
There's dark
overall
sides
global.
and there's good sides.
Yeah, of course, but that's life.
Exactly, so you get two
coming from,
sides to the
I'm
coin.
not coming from
I
any
don't-
perspective of experience. I'm
No,
simply
not you,
coming
Zubi. I'm saying from
okay.
her. I'm saying not you. I'm just saying in general.
I don't think it's a religious thing.
No, it's
either.
not a religious thing. I'm just saying in my head, I go, I just want to know if she would say she was spiritual or religious because 9 times out of 10, this is just my personal experience. When I
Yeah.
talk to spiritual or not really religious people, they lean towards her more, and the religious people lean towards this. On both sides it happens. But what I'm saying is, Pearl, you're saying you had a sibling raised beautifully out of adoption.
Right.
Zubi saying he doesn't believe in abortion. It's taking human life. Auntie saying the same thing. This young woman is saying a very different thing, but it's based in her personal experience in life and so on and so forth, which is okay. I'm just saying I don't believe in abortion, but at the same time, I don't think I can tell a woman or anybody what to do with their person. So I'm in this weird place of it.
You're comfortable telling someone not to kill someone, though, right?
Well,
For
it
different
depends.
reasons,
If it was a
yes
gun?
and no.
If it was a
That's a
gun?
different podcast topic. I'm
I ain't
comfortable
gonna
telling
lie, if
people
somebody's
not
coming
to,
for
but
me
I'm
and hurting
not
me,
at liberty to say that
We're
I
talking
shouldn't
about
be.
an innocent life. We're not talking about
But
something.
okay, so you mean
think-
an innocent? So
Alright,
for me,
well-
I'm saying from my background, I can't tell somebody not to.
I mean,
commit
I think
crimes. But for innocent life, Zubi, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Can anyone else comment
so-
on whether they would? Because I was actually quite
Yeah,
interested.
go
Okay, go
for it,
ahead.
please. Yeah.
No, I wanted to hear what you would.
Oh, why you bringing me up?
2.0.
To be honest,
I'm on mic
yeah,
now.
I hear what everyone's saying. Everyone has got like a reasonable standpoint for what they're saying. But me personally, like I've done a TikTok where I said, for instance, one point, broke people shouldn't be having kids because you bring kids into a life of struggle and hardship. Do you get what I'm saying? I think especially someone like me who came from a background of struggle and hardship, like wearing hand-me-downs and all of this and getting laughed at and bullied and all of that and stuff like that. Some people are just not meant to have kids, bro.
And your case is just mild. You know this, innit?
What's
What
that?
you're talking about, saying that you came from hardship. Yours is mild in comparison to what's
Yeah,
happening
mild.
out
Like,
there.
I'm just saying, as from my experience,
Yeah.
innit? Like, and from what I've seen, like, I've got friends that, like, boom, like, their parents were crackheads. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, they just will waste men, waste women, whatever, and they've just been freestyling through life, and their life has just been hardship. So, like, I get where you're coming from 100%. I get where you're coming from because I came. Again, like my mum, very, very hard Pentecostal church, Nigerian woman, like, bro, like no messing around in it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I get where you're coming from and where Zuby's coming from. It's an innocent life, but it's just like, bro, at the end of the day, everyone's gonna have to answer for their own actions. At the end of the day, I can't judge somebody and say, "Oh, why did you do that?" Like, bro, like I don't know their situation, bro. Some people know that, bro. If I have a kid, I'm gonna mess this kid's life up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I have a question. Do you think, and this is kind of to both of you, do you think that poor people are less valuable than rich people?
It's not about value.
Because
It's
when you a lot of people don't know this, but that's a common argument that people use for eugenics.
It's not about poverty.
So basically that poor people should be eradicated, and in some of like the founders of Planned Parenthood, which is more of it's more of a U.S. organization, like that was what they were fighting for, was eugenics. Which is like basically poor people should die. Same with like minorities.
No, it's not about poverty. It's about trauma. It's about trauma. It's about passing on unhealed souls that are going to then go because hurt people.
Do you think that we're spoiled because even like people that are in like the lowest income bracket now, they're still richer than most people were in all of human history? And that's, so then like, because by that logic, then everyone pretty much should have died all the time.
No, this is the thing. Like, I'll tell you something. I grew up privileged. Then my dad passed away. My life turned around, and I came to England. And all of a sudden, I went from being up there to being down here and being the poor kid. But none of that situation changed my happiness because my mom is a loving woman who did everything to make sure that we were happy and we were okay. We didn't have all the money, and yet all her support and love got me to be a woman that I am today. I'm grateful for that. On the flip side, I have friends that went through similar things or completely different situations where their parents were not equipped to give them the love and the support that they needed to be wholesome human beings, wholesome adults that can actually lead a life responsibly and not have to have those traumas that are getting them to get themselves in trouble. Okay. That's why people go. That's why a lot of black people go to prison.
Okay, so next question: where's the cutoff then? Like, where should abortion be legal? What about 9 months?
No, I feel like that's just
too long. Okay. So what point?
It's like, I would say probably to the point where the brain starts to develop, because once the brain starts to develop properly, then that's when that's when the life, like the more consciousness starts to go in, when you're actually picking up a lot of the signals from the outside, where the fetus turns into actually something that's
aware.
Aware. That's it.
Brainwaves are what, about 6 weeks?
So you would say 6 weeks?
Well, that's still not developed enough. That's just brain waves.
No, you said the brain. Yeah.
This is the thing. Once your brain, there's different stages to it. So when the brain is developing, there's brain waves, and then there's other things that you receive certain information. It depends on the level of information that brain can now process.
Okay, so what level of information?
Well, I would say probably the cutoff point at 3 to 4 months is actually quite good, and I know they go up to 6 months.
Yeah, it's 6 months in the UK, and after 6 months, if there is even a minor disability, such as a cleft palate or something, something that minor, there's no limit. That's the current rule. In Canada, there's no limit, period. Many states in the US, there's no limit.
Can I just add, like, with the question you asked us, like, at the end of the day, my mindset to it, it's not about poor people being less valuable. Like, that's not even what we're talking about. What I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, if you know you're living, and this is a very common thing, yeah, a lot of times people who are living in struggle and poverty, who can't even look after themselves, they're just fucking.
Yeah.
Like they have nothing else going on, and they're fucking. And they bring. Hold on, let me just say this, bro. Like, yeah. And then they just bring, they just having kids, bro. Like, you could you just go outside. You're gonna see people pushing prams and like they have nothing going on, and their kids, bro. A lot of these kids, what happens to them? Join gangs, crime. They go prison, end up in the ground, whatever, bro. Like, so, like, all of this other fairy tales. Oh, yeah, maybe they're gonna end up being. Yeah, it happens, but bro,
it's rare.
Really and truly, majority of them are gonna end up fucked up.
Those actually aren't the women getting abortions. Only 8% of women below the poverty line are getting abortions. Where 1 out of 3 women that make over $47,000 per year are actually getting abortions.
Your question was about the people that was in poverty. That's who I'm addressing.
Well, but I'm saying like those are. Like, I'm saying when you argue that, like, you're basically, like, you might not mean it like that, but when you're arguing that those people should get abortions, you're basically saying that poor people should never right to life.
I never said poor people should get abortions, though.
For example, you are like, let's say 25, you go to the club
Mhm.
and you meet this asshole, but he's hot, and you decide to have a one night stand. I know you decide to open your legs, that's your fault, blah, 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 blah. You get pregnant now. Cool. You are having your own issues in life. You are definitely not equipped to be a mother. You're not even responsible or whatever. And the guy on top of that, he's not a partner that is going to be able to even support your child in many ways. There you go. It's your decision. If you want to terminate it, you terminate it
Can we
then.
address
All of
the-
that
can we
That's
is
address
not
the-
about
avoidable.
money. It's about mental. It's about how prepared are you as a person. And if you're afraid and you don't want to do it, okay, but just be ready to deal with the consequences.
Can we address that
whatever
in the
those
room?
are.
Like, there's actually contraception.
Yes, I was
So-
about to say.
Yeah, facts.
You
It's
know,
just not- it's not-
especially,
it's not
you know,
hard
there's
to,
so much contraception. So when you're in that stage where you're having a pregnancy, what have you done to prevent that? I understand Auntie's situation was very, it happened.
And that's why I said I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm an
Yeah,
exception to every
exception,
rule,
yeah,
and I
but there-
accept that. Yeah.
there is contraception involved to stop these things from happening,
Mm-hmm.
and we've completely ignored that and went on to the fact that we've been reckless and got pregnant. So what contraception was the
You
person on?
clearly
Who was-
don't know
who-
about
can I just-
contraception.
Yeah, but who?
I very
do you
much know I've got no kids.
Can I say something? Can I add to that? Can I add to that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, for a guy, all you can do is wear condoms.
Yeah.
So really, who
Mm-hmm.
really is
It's
in
a-
charge, or
It's
who
not
holds more
hard.
authority?
It's
in,
not hard to prevent
why are you pointing at me?
pregnancy.
That's a good point.
It's not hard.
Guys,
who's-
one at a time.
Who's
Go
got more authority in that?
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, I think women really need to do a better job of making sure that they don't fall into that trap. Because the majority of the contraception is down to them, innit? Like, do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then let's say, even if you have a girlfriend and
Yeah.
you get her pregnant and she doesn't want to have the kid, she ain't having it, bro.
Facts.
Yeah.
So
But there's
like, that's how I
precautions. You can get the morning after. There's stuff you know.
Yeah.
You feel like it's
Yeah.
a bit iffy.
I've got
Get the
that
morning
bare
after.
times, morning after. I've
Bro,
got that bare times,
bro,
bro.
you know
Yeah.
it's a
At
life.
least you buy it, you
Zubi,
pay
do you-
for it.
Zubi,
Yeah,
That's nice.
I'll buy it.
You're a
I'll
true
I'll
gentleman.
buy it and I'll watch her take it, bro.
Zubi, I have a
Yeah,
question
joke.
for you.
Yeah, go
do,
ahead.
do you think that Plan B is an abortion? Because I always get this question and I
Well-
don't know enough about it.
It would depend on exactly how it works.
I don't know.
Next day.
The next day.
No,
Right
I,
after.
I, I, know, I,
72
know, I, know,
hours.
I know what it is. I'm talking about the actual mechanism by which it works. Does it prevent the fertilization?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did.
Yeah,
I
it
actually don't
If it- if it-
understand
if
it.
it
You're talking about the
prevents-
morning after.
I
Bill?
know.
If it prevents fertilization,
It
then
does.
no. Okay, if it
It
prevents
does.
fertilization, then no, that's not an
No,
abortion.
I don't
Okay.
think. I think they
Yeah.
all stop the embryo from
Yeah,
attaching. to
that's
the,
what he said.
Prevents
Prevents
attachment.
it from the beginning.
But it's already fertilized, right? When the sperm touches the egg, that's already like an embryo.
Has conception already? Is it a contraceptive or
No,
is it a?
It's an
not
emergency
con-
contraceptive.
Because
I-
you don't know.
By the way, I've tried to actually find the answer to this,
Yeah.
and it seems to be a little bit up in the air. That
So
it's
it's
not
only
totally
alright
clear, the
as
mechanism.
long as the egg, the
Well,
sperm
I-
touches the
I-
egg. It's like, let me
Look,
come in. No,
about,
take.
I care about being intellectually honest and consistent, right? So human life begins at conception,
Yeah.
right? Left uninterrupted from that point. This is why it's dumb when people make that point. Oh, well, masturbating is the same as an abortion. It's like, no, because a sperm on its own doesn't do anything, never develops into a human. An egg on its own does not. But once they meet, if we were to rewind any of our lives and go back to where our life began, it would be from that moment of conception. That's when the DNA, that's when the full
I get what you're saying.
DNA
But you can
sequence
get
is
a
That's why-
pill
created.
that
What
you
it
take up
does-
to 5 days after.
What it does
5
is that
days
the
already
sooner,
touched.
the sooner you
days.
take it, because you don't know whether it's going to get fertilized or not. So
Yeah.
the earlier you take it,
Yeah.
it will
that's why
strip the
that's why
womb
the
so it
answer
won't
I
get. It
have
will
to say
strip
it
it
would
so it
depend
won't
on
be
what-
attached.
it would depend on
so
what the
as
actual
far as I'm
mechanism is.
concerned, if it's within 72 hours, I'll say yeah. If it's within 5 days, I'll be.
And you can go as far as 5 days.
No, what I'm trying to say is that 72 hours, you know, there's not going to be any fertilization because it's like that. But
Yeah.
the 5 days is a bit iffy.
Look,
And can I just say that
yeah, sure. sorry.
everybody keeps on talking about trauma, and everybody keeps on blaming everything nowadays on trauma. But if I can have counseling and cognitive therapy back in the 80s and 90s, it's available out there for everybody. And more women, especially women, they need to start going and getting therapy. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing about people's trauma. Nowadays, I've got to the point where I've had more trauma than you. I don't care about yours because you're wearing it like a badge. You know, like, oh, I'm doing this because I've got this trauma. God, nobody's had. If I wanted to, nobody in their life has had more trauma than I have.
I wear
And
my
as soon
healing
as
as
you-
my badge of
As
honor.
soon as you get you get raped, go and get counselling. I did. I got abused. Go and get counselling. that counselling didn't work. Go and get one that works for me. And that's what I did. I don't carry around baggage. I deal with it and I leave it and I move on as a whole human being. I'm not going to turn around and say, I was a great victim. And no.
Can I just say something, Auntie?
I'm sick and tired of hearing about people's trauma. I don't care about nobody's trauma.
Definitely.
Deal with it.
As many of you know, I was just banned on TikTok, and we are demonetized on a daily basis on this platform. If you want to help, please consider sending a super thanks below. Every donation helps, and it helps make what we do possible.